Hello sanibonani babukele emakhaya. Sesifikile thina once again with your favorite program Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Siza kunibukhoma la kumamba phambili phela iSABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Satholakala futhi la ku SABC Plus. Uma wena you were smart enough to go and download the app. Lona ke umajali umakangcolosi. Thank you so much for joining us. Mbukeli sesithanda phela ukuba sematheni igameko zokudayiswa kokudla okungaphephile noma sinayo imithetho kanye nezinhlelo ekumele phela zikuvikele ukudayiswa kokudla okungaphephile. Ake sizwe kabanzi ngalolu daba. Iningizimu Afrika ihlome iyahlasela ngemithetho nezinhlelo phela zokuvikela ukuthi abathengi bangazitholi bedayiselwe ukudla okungaphephile phansi komthetho obizwa iConsumer Protection Act. Konke okusiwa phela emlonyeni kusho ukuthi kumele kusho ukuthi kwenziwe kuphi, kwenziwa ubani, izinto ezenziwe ngako neminye phela imininingwane enikeza loyo mthengi ulwazi olungcono ngalokho phela azobe ekudla. Kodwa ke igameko mbukeli zakamuva nje zisishiya phela siyibuza ukuthi how safe is the food that we are eating? Naludaba sizweni ngangcono.
Imithetho elawula ushishino lokuswa phansi kwempumlo ukutya kwanamayeza inyanzelisa ukuba kube neempawu ezichaza kakuhle ukuba kuveliswe phi, kusetyenziswa ntoni, ithini na imilinganiselo esetyenzisiweyo kwanokuphelelwa kwexesha koko kutya. Umthetho iConsumer Protection Act ugunyazisa ukuba ezi mpawu zisisichazo okanye ii-food labels zibe khona ekutyeni nakumachiza athengiswayo, oku ukuxhobisa umthengi ngolwazi. Ukanti namagosa aseburhulumenteni anoxanduva lokuhlola zonke iindawo ezishishina ngokutya namachiza amashishini abhaliswe afana ne-restaurant, iivenkile ezidumileyo kwanabantu nje abazishishinelayo ngokutya kwanezipaza shops. Iziganeko zakutshanje zabantu abatye ukutya ekurhanelwa ukuba akutshongo khona zigulise abantu zathatha imiphefumlo.
Once again, 2 more children perished due to suspected food poisoning in Gauteng, this time in Bekkersdal, West Rand. The 2 children had bought snacks at a taxi rank. The South African Police Service in Gauteng has opened an inquest.
Kodwa ingaba uluntu lona luyivundlele kangakanani na into yokutya okungakhuselekanga?
I check the expiry date and the place where I'm buying food. I don't normally buy to the corner shops, wherever I go to established supermarkets. And from there I check the expiry dates and everything. And if the place itself it's clean.
Ukudla most of the time into siphila ngayo, so people don't even consider how the quality of food. So we just buy because there's no money anymore. We buy because we just have to survive.
Expiry date ibalulekile kakhulu. Ngoba kunale ndaba yabo food poisoning na yonke into, so we check kuyalekelela kakhulu. Yeah, okunye ke noma ubheka in terms of our prices, kodwa ke phela ngithi umuntu kuyadependa ngayo ukuthi umunye ufuna equality. So equality ke it almost comes in high price.
Noxa kukho imithetho, imiqathango neenkqubo ezikhusela abathengi, kusekho amaxesha apho okukutya kungatshongo khona sekonakele. Kulo nyaka uphelileyo, ikomishoni ekhusela amalungelo abathengi, i-National Consumer Commission, iye yangenelela emva kokwaziswa ngeziganeko zeendidi zokutya ezifunyaniswe ukuba zibeka impilo yoluntu esichengeni. Nangona eli linemithetho, amasebe nee-arhente ezijongene nokhuseleko lokutya, ikomishoni ekhusela abathengi ithi eli lisesemva xa kuthelekiswa namanye amazwe.
Ukuphepha kokudla okwenzela ukuthi actually abathengi bethu sazi ukuthi bahlala ngaso sonke isikhathi baphephile. Siyaye sibone ngazo ukuthi sisasalele emuva kancane ngoba ke umthetho lo ovikela abathengi ukhuluma ngazo zonke impahla uphinde futhi ufake kuwona futhi nokudla. Into esiyibonile ke ukuthi nasihamba siya kwamanye amazwe kunomnyango nje umkhakha obekiwe ukuthi awuthi nje uma kukhona inkinga ezithize esihambisana nokudla kube yibo abathatha zonke inyathelo. Okwamanje la eMzansi Afrika la ekhaya sibona ngazi ukuthi sisathe ukusalela emuva kancane.
Nangona basemagunyeni nosomashishini benoxanduva lokuba abathengi bafumane ukutya okukhuselekileyo kwiindawo ezicocekileyo, ikwayindima yabathengi ukuqinisekisa ukuba benza eyabo indima yokuhlolisisa, bafunde imibhalo ekwiimpawu ezifakiweyo. Nobathembu Zantsi, Yilungelo Lakho.
Siyabonga kakhulu ngalo mbiko mbukele asamukeleke manje izivakashi zethu ukuze bakwazi ukuthi basikhulumise kabanzi ngokuthi phela kuphephe kangakanani lokudla esikudlayo la eNingizimu Afrika. Let's welcome usisi Matlou Setati omele iConsumer Goods Council of South Africa. Sinaye futhi usisi Viljoen yena-ke amshoni samkhumbula umele ihhovisi leGauteng Consumer Affairs. Ladies, a very good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for rejoining us and joining us. Sizoqala ngawe Matlou. I mean, before we even get into what your offer does, very quickly, we've just seen a very concerning insert where I think the takeaway from what the people on the streets were saying, Matlou, yes, as much as babatla ho reka, you know, food that is well prepared and is healthy and so forth, but the issue is the price. So they're just getting anything in order to survive. And that was the general consensus amongst the insert. What do you say when you see people saying that they're willing to compromise the quality of what they're putting into their bodies because of the prices?
Yeah, it is quite concerning, although we understand the situation we find ourselves. But then, let's take it back. Safe food, Yilungelo Lakho. So if you do not take care of your safety, think of the price of life. Ooh. What is the price? It's priceless. So we need to consider that a small thing as consuming a contaminated product can cost you your life or your children. So the education starts at home, as always. If umama or umuntu omdala abelieve ukuthi siyotya anything, despite all the poverty, we all grew within poverty.
Yes.
But we would always ensure that wherever si preparisha ukudla ku safe, ku clean man. Siyenza ukuthi everyone ugogo no mama they would hit you if you were preparing food. Awuhlambanga, awugezanga izandla, you know, all those basic things. Those are basics of food safety. So noma sithenga kungaba kuphi isitolo esinkulu isitolo esincane, masi make sure umuntu wathi mang poster, I was on another radio, ngithi masibhekeni ukuthi kunjani, bathi sizobheka kanjani sithenga ku window. Nayo into uma uthenga ku window asikhulumisane nezitolo zethu.
They just bring you whatever it is.
Masikhulumisane nabo sithi, can we talk with you and the community policing forum? Can we go to the nearest abantu abafana noSisimili ukuthi wena as part of umphakathi sibe nabantu baze bacheke ukuthi mase usithengisela kule stolo sakho. We understand safety is concerned for the small retailers. Masisebenze sonke no community policing forum and say masiye kubantu abaziyo baze bazocheka basi assure thina as umphakathi to say hayi simchekile uright noma nithenga ku the window,
through the window,
sesimnike thumbs up ukuthi hayi uright anganithengisela. So sifanele sonke sisebenzisane together so that, because this is the cost of life that we are concerned about.
All right. Millie, I mean, looking at that insert, I also want to get your input very quickly. And I think Matlou has just mentioned something very profound, that we need to go back to the basics of what food safety is. Yes, our topic is food safety, but what essentially are we talking about? And what were our Voxes referring to on the insert when they say, well, we're willing to buy anything to have something in our stomachs, whether it's safe or not. It really does not concern us at this stage.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's critical for consumers, like Matlou said, like, you know, think of your health. you know, because it has dire consequences on your health and, you know, developing all sorts of diseases that can follow, you know, just based on you consuming products that's not safe to eat. And I think what's critical for consumers to know is, yes, we understand the situation. Inflation is killing us. Prices go up. The price of eggs is gone through the roof.
Yes.
And those are some of the basics that we rely on as communities for protein, like eggs, you know. However, I think what's critical is that, you know, you have a right to choice. Choose. You know, you don't have to buy from that shop with the burglar bars in front of it that you can't see, you know, the preparation of the food that we just mentioned. So those are some of the aspects of it. Look at the food. Look at, like, if the food doesn't look appetizing to you, surely there's something wrong. If the color is not what you used to.
If it doesn't smell
If it doesn't smell good, then surely there's something unto it. And I think, you know, consumers must just know they have the power. You have the cash, you have the power, you have the right to choose. Go to another store that can sell you quality or goods for fair value.
Very interesting indeed. Sis Matlou, bengishilo ngathi I'm going to come back to that question yokuthi si understand kancane ukuthi nenzani lapha Consumer Goods Council of South Africa, and how different is your office from Millie's, for example?
Yeah. Almost most people confuse us.
Yeah.
We are a not-for-profit organization. We were established by retailers and manufacturers in South Africa to say we need a safe place where we can come with ideas and share best practices on matters of common interest so that we can grow the sector. So food safety is one critical aspect that actually sparked the conversation to put an establishment like this together. There was a scare in terms of Sudan Red that was used in the market, and they said we need a body that will focus on this. So what we do, we are very broad. As you can see, I'm even wearing a GS1 t-shirt.
Yes.
This is the establishment globally that issues barcodes.
Okay.
In South Africa, GS1, Consumer Goods Council of South Africa, we issue barcodes that would identify if Matlou Manufacturing has manufactured a product and OSIS Millie, they are concerned that this could not be the right manufacture. And because people copy, even the barcode, they copy everything.
Yes.
So we know exactly who is the owner. They submit all relevant paperwork in terms of the registration from CIPC, your VAT, everything. So before we can issue a barcode to a company. And the nice thing is that we can track the global location number through the barcode to say this establishment is registered to be operating in 26 Auckland Street or whichever. So this is what supports.
So the patents are in designated areas, and you
so
can track that.
You can track that. So this is what we support law enforcement. We do not enforce. We just put in the mechanisms to help support the enforcement. And over and above that, we put together guidelines. We've just put together guidelines for food donations to help the sector when they're donating food to ensure that it is safe. And another element that we do a lot of training workshops. We just trained 500 informal traders through the support of the wholesale and retail SETA. So we make sure that we help the companies that have subscribed to us and those that are external through partnerships. We can do the training just to bring it down to basics to say you need not get scared when we start talking about R638 regulation, R638, we're throwing all these scientific names. It is just about going back to basics. So this is what we impart to the sector in terms of helping them trade better.
Awesome stuff. And Millie, I'm sure you're going to remind them what you guys do in your office when we come back. But Mugeli, mengibuya ke ngiyavula izingcingo. Remember to keep watch for those numbers. They're going to be coming up in the bottom of your screen. But ungasithumela email consumer@sabc.co.za. Usithole lapha ku Facebook as well as Twitter. Sikhuluma nge-food safety, ukudla okudlayo. Ku-safe kangakanani? We're coming back shortly after this right now. Mbukeli, welcome back. We are talking food safety. Ukuthi lama koto wathengayo wena ukuqalazi nje ngale ubheka ukuthi stove sakhona sagcina nini uklinwa, ucheck ukuthi lo pholoni abawusebenzisayo ngabe uthengwe kuphi sewa expire nini. Ucheck nalamazambane afakwe ema chipsini or wona nalama sauce ukuthi zi expire nini lezini or ufika uthenge nje wena uyathatha uyadla uzoyithola usugula la. Well, ungasishayela ucingo la e-studio 011-714-0669 alternatively 714-0670. Ungasithumela iWhatsApp ku 060-844-9857 or interact with us on Twitter as well as Facebook. My guest today, Sis Matlou Setati ovela GC is CSA from the Food Safety Initiative alongside Miss Viljoen ovela Gauteng Department of Economic Development. Let's go to those lines. Mfanelo ebhal for Informal. Mfanelo rather, thank you so much for staying on the line. Welcome to the show. Singakusiza njani namhlanje?
Hello, Sisi.
Kunjani baba?
Hello.
Hi, uyangizwa baba Mfanelo?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, baba Mfanelo, go ahead.
Hello.
All right, we're going to move on from Mfanelo because it sounds like akangizwa, and I was testing with him lapha ebreakini. But Mbukeli, if you've had an incident where wena uthenge ukudla kwakugulisa noma kanjani, please sicela usifonele la usitshela ukuthi experience yakho ibe njani. Which bodies did you go to approach them ubachazela ukuthi inkinga yakho ukuthi nokuthi walithola yini futhi lolo ncedo. All right, so Millie, we understand what the difference is between your two offices. But now we understand also that food safety is related to public health, right? Economic development, social welfare, as well as human survival. What food safety initiatives does your department currently have? Are you going out there teaching people about the back to basics of food safety, how to handle food, where it's prepared, and all those things?
Yeah, no, most definitely, Alicia. You know, as you know, our department is really looking at promoting and protecting the interests of consumers. Now, promotion has got to do with education. And again, I'm going to say it like, you know, education is the best form of protection.
Absolutely.
Once you are informed, once you are educated around issues of food safety, you're educated on your rights, you know your rights, you're empowered with all this information, then you'll be able to make informed choices and, you know, and make sure that you adhere to food safety. So in terms of the promotion, yes, we do a lot of education workshops. We go out, we do workshops as well for SMMEs, small businesses that we educate and on the Consumer Protection Act, but also in terms of the food safety. We have a forum that we're trying to get off the ground, you know, and making sure that it's a multi-disciplinary forum with different stakeholders, which includes your Department of Agriculture, Food Safety, it includes the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications that basically oversees like things like canned foods and frozen fish. Then we have bodies like ourselves, the Consumer Protection Agencies. And then we also have the environmental health practitioners and the Department of Health on there to make sure that we have joint programs in terms of educating consumers. And yes, this is like food safety tips, for example. How do you go about ensuring that you know what you must look out for in terms of buying any products? But we also have your blitzes, your compliance inspections, your compliance monitoring inspections, again, that we go out jointly as different stakeholders so that we make sure that we have that impact and then we inspect various products and ensure that they are compliant.
Look, also, Matlou, speaking of compliance there, I mean, talk to us maybe about the current legislation in terms of monitoring as well as adherence to such legislation. What are some of the challenges that you're facing there, like fraudulent issues of barcode nanani? I think a couple of weeks ago, a fake doctor was trending on social media, and people were actually coming out in numbers and saying that, but this person sold us some products, and when we actually check the barcode, it's not synonymous or it's not found, it's non-traceable anywhere. So basically this person could have taken a pill from wherever, asithatha asinikeza nokuthi siconsume, and there's no way of tracking that. So maybe talk to us about that. How enforceable is the current legislation? Ikhona yona, mikhona. How easily adhered to is it?
Woof, where do you even start? Yes, in South Africa, we have beautiful legislation, right? We have, we can start from the quality side. We've got guidance in terms of what everyone needs to comply with.
It's all there on paper.
It's all there on
yes,
paper.
But how feasible is it?
I think you mentioned a very great example of I was on the floor laughing.
Yeah.
When I read the barcode, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Until 20.
I know.
But the amazing part is that South Africans are I love my South African people. They were like, it is not 600. They knew that a barcode issued from South Africa and from our office, that was a proud moment.
We've got smart consumers out there.
We've got smart consumers. But I think sometimes, somewhere, we just lose it as South African consumers and look at the cheap side of things. And I always say, we buy in all the corners. We all know the corners where we go and shop. But then some products are riskier than others. The data that we get from our hotline, from illicit alcohol, tobacco, and we're struggling a lot with food, as you can understand. Everyone wants to buy food to consume.
Yes.
But then what saddens me always is that people have smoked tobacco, they've drank alcohol, but then we had the tavern issue with alcohol, even though the test results came and said something. What worries me always is that the life that you can lose should be at the center of everything. And let's take it back to the people that offer the food products. Without exclusion, I love SMMEs, I love spaza shops. My master's degree was on spaza shops in Mulechi area.
Wow.
I pride myself with having found food security secured in the far rural areas due to spaza shops being there. And they are selling, my data was on analyzing the dietary diversity of their offering in their shops.
Yes.
They came out tops. Everyone was over 8 in terms of the scale that we use.
That's impressive,
so
hey?
they play a major role in terms of securing the food, making it available.
So where does the infiltration come from then, Matlou?
The infiltration in terms of the supply chain and how we do track and trace, we always speak to secure your supply. Whoever that brings products into your establishment, let's take, for instance, you go to a wholesaler as a spaza shop, you need to make sure that they comply with the regulations.
I need to take the lines very quickly. Uzoqhubeka manje sisiMatlou. Ados, are you still with us on the line? Thank you so much for staying with us. Good afternoon. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje? Ados, are you still there?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, sir?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Baba. Go ahead.
I'm good, man. You're speaking to Adolf in Victoria, no?
Yes, Baba. Go ahead, Ados.
No, my question is because our like when I did this shop with Adolf
yes,
and then we really create the job it's expired. Question making a little report at the guy. So and then Kenya could the worry. When I did reference when I report that case every hour.
All right. Okay. Raleboga Ntatu Ados. All right. There is a number that we're going to show on your screens there where you can actually report amalokuzana if you suspect ukuthi kune dealer lapho efuna ukukulokhuza ukudayisela ukudla okubolile nayo lapho inamba lapho on our screen bakwethu ngizonisondezela nayo nami ukuthi ngizokwazi ukuthi ngilonge ngirepeatela yona. After the break, we're going to continue with this discussion because abanye benu don't even know ukuthi you actually have the power ukuthi niba reportele abantu so that nizobasusa from trading in your own communities bafethu because nini nizibulalela ama communities. We're back shortly after this ningaindawo. Mbukeli 011-714-0669, alternatively 714-0670. Those are the magic numbers ongasithinta ngazo la studio. Alternatively, ungasithumela iWhatsApp ku 0608449857 usithinte lapha ku Facebook as well as Twitter or consumer@sabc.co.za. Nansi inamba yokureporta but Edos wena ofuna ukureporta labantu abandayisela ukudla expire Mbukeli 0800148856. That number again 0800148856. Mangabe uyasola ukuthi khona abantu abandayisela amakota anento engazwakali kahle ngathi kunephunga somewhere ukuthi beze bazojek. So Meli, we were struggling with Mfanelo from Balfour in Mpumalanga who was trying to call us. Before you get into Edos's answer there, he wants to know the visibility of these food safety inspectors, especially in the township and far-flung areas. How high is it, Millie? Are there people out there? Can we call as a community inspectors to come and inspect certain shops and retailers in our own community, including the big ones? Because let me tell you, we saw a rat in one of the most reputable retailers in the past months. And it just goes to show that you can never be too clean in an establishment. So it's something that needs to be done time and time again.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Remember, like in each of the provinces, we have consumer affairs officers, which they can contact in any Department of Economic Development. They can walk in and get contact details of the Consumer Affairs Office. But most importantly, the municipalities, all the municipalities have what we call the environmental health practitioners, the EHPs, which on a daily basis, that is their mandate to go out and inspect various premises, you know, looking at general issues such as hygiene, although their mandate is a bit broad. But those are some of the issues that they do focus on, whether it's a spaza shop, whether it's a big retailer. They do look at issues of food safety. They do look at issues of, you know, general housekeeping and hygiene, you know, as far as making sure that everything is kosher. And I think this is what consumers must remember, you know, do report them. You know, there's different, yes, the CGSO, but then there's the consumer affairs officers, there's the environmental health practitioners that's in your municipality, you know, make use of their services. And yes, if you call upon the inspectors to come out and inspect certain premises, alert us to it, and that will be done. But without saying that, they do it anyway. They don't wait for an invitation to come out and inspect. It's part of their daily function. And these premises, you know, you mentioned, like, you know, the premises selling ukota and any premises selling food must have a certificate of compliance. You know, so to make sure a certificate of acceptability, to make sure that yes, and that how do you obtain that certificate is only through the environmental health office in the municipality that issues that certificate. And consumers must learn to ask for this. You know, ask and say, do you have a valid certificate? Are you allowed to sell food on this premises? If and generally it should be displayed. If it's not displayed, ask them to, you know, to produce it to you. If they don't, please do report that, because again, that's a contravention.
And I really want to talk about that, Millie, because, I mean, you know, when we talk about these things, we're really talking about mostly the informal sector. And a lot of people don't even know, like, where to start asking or which right questions to ask those retailers. I'm going to let you answer a question, Atos, but I want to go back to the lines. Leonard in Germiston, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to the show. Singaksizanjan today. Hello, Leonard. Leonard, good afternoon. Okay, it looks like everybody's getting stage fright. Hi, Leonard, how are you? Ukhona? Ngiyakuzwa baba. Please go ahead. Nombuzo wakho noma umbono. Leonard? Leonard? All right. But Leonard, please go ahead.
Hello.
All right, okay. It seems like I'm struggling with my lines. We're going to try and sort that situation out because it seems like abantu abangizwa. That was Leonard Jameson. Please try and call us again. Let's go back to Aidos's question, Osmatlo. Unabu waga hore, bona they see people trading expired goods in their neighborhoods. What can he do? And I think for the benefit of the rest of our viewers, what can the general public do if they observe that a retailer or a dealer is selling them expired foods or foods with amalokuzana ama-barcode suspect izinto ezinjalo? What can they do?
Or date marking is scratchy.
Yes,
this is where now the responsibility, you have to call up. Either you go and report at the municipality, officini or EHP, or you call our hotline, and we will ensure that the authorities know, because we can't enforce the law. We just collect the data and provide an avenue for consumers to then bring the information forth.
Yes.
But yes, can I make a plea, since I have the platform?
Please, go ahead.
South Africa, between Tate Ramaphosa, the Premier of Gauteng, can I just make an honest plea through you, Sis Millie? Kuna ama unemployed graduates.
Yes.
Abenze food science and
Yes.
environmental health.
Yes.
Sifuna ama panyaza that are related to controlling and monitoring food. We still have not met the numbers in accordance with the WHO in terms of the number of environmental health practitioners or food inspectors that we need to have. And we have capacity as South Africa. The only thing that the challenge that we are facing as a sector is that the inspectors are sitting in the various departments, but all of them can visit one establishment at once. And if we all collate all the inspectorate that we have in South Africa, we should be able to touch on every, and we know our municipalities are struggling, there's challenges, but we need to utilize the capacity that we already have. All of the departments have got food inspectors, but we just need to make sure that we work smart as a country. If need be, let's have amapanyaza that are talking to food safety. I think it's getting tired every day to talk after a child has died on food safety issues.
We are very reactionary. Millie, what do you say to that? I mean, I'm sure, I hope the Premier of Gauteng is listening to us, Manju Babule Sofi, what they please about amapanyaza who are going to focus on food-related issues and food safety-related issues. It can't just be about izinto that are not, helping society. What do you say to this, Millie?
No, most definitely. Remember, government is in the right direction in terms of making use of unemployed graduates. There's different platforms like Amapanyazas. Agriculture has 6,000 environmental officers.
Oh, yes.
We're talking about getting, what we call liquor wardens as well.
Oh, yes, there's artisans as well that are fixing,
Yes, there's artisans. So those are some of the things that's in the making. I'm sure that's on the cards. We also, employ, from a consumer perspective, have what we call the consumer champions that go into exactly those, we train them going into facilities, look for this kind of discrepancies or issues related to expired foods or just general hygiene issues, report back to us, and then we will liaise with authorities such as Matlou's organization to make sure that we ultimately zoom in and use every angle of every piece of legislation to then come down on these unscrupulous or unethical operators to make sure we eradicate those kind of practices. And I think that's where the DDM model, if you're from district development model, also come from. It's saying that we work in silos, correct, but we need to break those silos from national government, provincial government, as well as at local government.
Effort,
have that collaborative effort in making sure that we bring all our inspectors together. Yes, we have different mandates, but we can find a way of making sure that we have one common objective when it comes to zooming in. And I totally agree with Matlou. It's really sickening. We all have children. Most of us we have family members that obviously doesn't have, it's not well off, and they rely on some of this, and where the shops, some of it are staying in villages where the shops are so far.
It's
so
the
far
only
from
shop that is operating in the village.
Operating in
So
that
what
village.
choice do you
so
have?
where do I go? So it's our responsibility, not just as government. Like the saying goes, food safety is everyone's business.
Absolutely.
So food protection is everybody's business.
Thank you very much. You know, I think abantu need to really start being fussy because I cannot, for one, understand uyithatha kanjani into uyidle mbukela ungazi ukuthi iphumaphi, iprepare kanjani, le ndawo ekade yenzelwa kuyona, lezo zitsha uNkulunkulu wami. Yuhu, ngifuna ngisho ungayicabangi leyo nto leyo because there is so much that goes into ukuthi lo muntu lo oqoba lo tamatisi inzipho zakhe injani. I mean, these are very important things. We're coming back shortly after this break. Ungayindawo mbukeli. Our topic today, you know, is but it's a very serious topic. We're talking about issues around food safety. Ukudla okudlayo wena la uthenga khona supermarket yakho ukubone nje ukuthi bana certificate of compliance, like the ladies have explained, ukuthi kumele babe nama permit labantu, akumele nje ukuthi uvuke ekseni uxhome wena whatever oyixhomayo bese udayisela umphakathi, because kunomthetho i-Consumer Protection Act esiza abantu or ebavikelayo ukuthi phela wena ungabadayiseli noma yini ebodile. Okay, our numbers in studio, even though I'm still struggling with lines, but please keep trying. 011-714-0669, alternatively 011-714-0670. Ungasithumela WhatsApp 060-844-9857. Interact with us on Facebook as well as Twitter, and of course ungasithinta lapha ku consumer@sabc.co.za. That is our email address. My ladies, I'm still with Sis Matlou Setati ovela at GCGSA from the Food Safety Initiative, alongside Miss Viljoen from the Gauteng Department of Economic Development. Uvela lapha Consumer Goods Office ke mbukele. All right, so uLeonard lo kade ezama ukusifonela. Apparently uLeonard eGermiston taxi rank Matlou barekisa nama ebodileng. How can we report these people? How do we deal with these people? I suppose kibo me abarekisetsang di passengers tsa di taxi. How do you then, because that is actually what I wanted to come into, the informal sector. How do you then deal with those specific people, because I'm sure they're not registered Lilona, they're not members of Group Yalona. How do then people actually make sure they comply and sell dijo tse ileng gore di safe?
And let's take it back again. Food safety is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely.
There shouldn't be ignorance because you do not have the infrastructure and facilities and so forth.
And the paperwork.
And the paperwork. So we need to think about the next person that we are giving. But then again, the person that you are providing the food to also has a responsibility. So always we don't want to condemn small business and SMMEs that are hustling to make a life. But then I think the critical thing, as Usmili has said, is education. And this is the reason that we are here. So let's call out to Abo Mama to say, when you're selling the meat product, before they report, you need to ensure that the cold chain is maintained. Let's keep, I mean, a simple thing like a cooler box. Keep the products in a cooler bag, because we understand you do not have a big mobile fridge that you can, and don't take them unnecessarily. If you have to display them. Have you ever been to a market where they display a huge fish, but it is sitting on a pile of ice?
Absolutely.
So maintain the cold chain so that, with Leonard, they're not going to report you soon, because soon they will report you. You can call up quickly an EHP to come and view the person, and there will be ramifications for that. And I remember the previous premier once tweeted about someone who was pushing a trolley with cow heads. How I love cow heads that's cooked in the street. He was heavily butchered by South African social media in terms of you're killing small business and so forth. But then that was an opportunity. I had hoped he hopped on there to say there are laws that guide us, so that that food product, you preserve it. If it is a trolley, put a basket in with ice and then preserve the thing. Because we understand small business is always going to be there. That's how they grow into big business.
Absolutely.
But then, sisizeni abantu be small business to maintain the cold chain. Keep it warm or keep it cold. As simple as that. So why would you, in the scorching sun of South Africa, have malamuhodu out of the the ice or the fridge. Simple things as that, because we love this. These are the foods that we consume on the daily. But if we are irresponsible as providers, then we call in trouble upon ourselves.
Look, I think on the back of that, Millie, maybe just jump in there, because I think it's not just, I think even before one of the ad breaks that we went to, I was talking about how other reputable and big retailers also fall into this trap, where we're hearing that they're getting liquor that is made from suspicious, what you call it, dealers and people that are or manufacturers and so forth. But I'm asking myself, how do we then say we're going to keep those bylaws, or we're going to keep the retailer stuck by those bylaws in terms of getting access from his supply chain and ensuring that his supply chain does not flout the processes anyway? Because I'm pretty sure it's a long process, particularly if you're importing goods and you're not having goods that are made in the country.
Yeah, I think, you know what, it's critical, because remember, protection starts from farm to fork.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So the whole value chain there needs to adhere to certain regulations and certain standards that's out there. There's food standards, and that needs to adhere to it, whether it's big chains or not. I think with, you know, there's all sorts of challenges that we're facing now, even with as far as load shedding is concerned, with big chain stores.
Yes.
Because we do also see that sometimes meat, you know, don't just look, these days you shouldn't just be concentrating on the expiry date, you know. Also look at the color, look, you know, the smell of it, because the cold chain, you know, it gets interrupted during load shedding, and it drops drastically in temperatures, and it affects the quality of meat products.
Millie, we spoke to somebody, I think we're doing a related product, where a worker from one of these reputable retailers said, do not buy certain products that you find have already been basted with spice or anything in the shop, because that is the meat that they don't want you to see that is already expired. So, I mean, those are the things that also maybe we need more education around, to say, if you're buying fresh meat, do not go for the shisanyama, whatever, all-in-one braai, whatever pack, because it is basically just lost itself by date. But hold that thought, Millie. I really want to go to Richards Bay now. Ngizwe ubaba Umsomo ukuthi uthini. Baba Umsomo, ngiyakwamukela baba ohlelweni this afternoon. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje? Baba Umsomi. Baba Umsomi, can you hear me?
Sanibonani.
Kunjani baba?
Siyaphila njani?
Siyaphila baba Umsomi. Sicela uqhubeke baba, uthi inkinga yakho.
Noma iline, it's a bit breaking.
Yebo baba, siyakuzwa kodwa qhubeka.
I can't hear you on my side properly. But I just want to report the issue of the Somalian shops. Most yawo ama-Somalian shops balala khona, badayisa ukudla, bahlala namakati khona, nanokuthi how do they get permission ukuthi bona babe ney'tolo, whereas abantu base-South Africa, most of them are not exposed in owning shops and support ebangayithola ukuze babe ney'tolo, whereas lama-Somalians, they buy in bulk and food is exposed elangeni ngezimoto abazidrayivayo. That's my main concern.
Okay,
and I'm not happy with the product they are selling.
Okay.
Sometimes when you buy food from them, especially drinks, you could taste ukuthi they are not tasting well because ashiswa ilanga while driving and escorting them.
Okay.
That's my feet. So would see check my shops where they are full of Somalians and the Amasulmani. Most of their shops, they are full of rats. And some of the shops, Indian shops, Chinese shops, could smell the rats inside. I'm no more buying in those shops.
Okay.
Experience.
Okay baba, siyabonga kakhulu. Ubaba Umsomi lapha eRichards Bay uthi lokuhlangana nje kwalesitolo ukuthi nanka amatshali, nasi isinkwa, nanka amanabukeni, yonke into, it's all in one. Awazi ukuthi ngemuvi isiphi isilwane esigijima lapha, I'm sure nemfene ungayithola igijima in between products mbukeli. Let's take our final ad break. We're back shortly after this. Okay, down. Mbukeli it's our final segment lapha sizwe ubaba uMsomo ethi yena cha ayimgculisi neze lento uthi asangene emachayineni akangeni kulama spaza shop lawa arana ama illegal foreigners because uzohlakana negundane elijahe ikati kube ikati elibalekayo. So siyabonga ke mbukela ukuthi you can still contribute. I hope the producer still has those lines open. I'm still with Sis Matlou Setati alongside Miss Viljoen. So Sis Matlou, I mean these people are asking ukuthi what can be done. As you heard Ubaba Msomi, he says he's never going into those local retailers because he's seen the type of environment that, number one, the food is prepared in, the type of food that is carried in the shop. While we were on break, one of my colleagues here showed me a cold drink. We won't say the brand, but if you look closely with those laser lights, you can actually tell that there's some sick animal that has died or is living inside this cold drink. So I'm asking myself, how do we then get to the bottom of this? And I think another point from Ubaba Msomi was, how do these illegal foreigners get those papers and accreditation to actually operate in those spaces, whereas South Africans do not have access to that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
It's a deep one, yeah. I mean, we've seen in the news, they were actually do Operation Tudula, were taking down spazas and removing illegal spaza own shops and so forth. So,
Tina Singenapi, Tina, we've got what we call supply chain efficiencies, and we've been pleading with government to say, lend us an ear, let's put this to a trial. In terms of e-barcode, we can secure the supply because we need to know izinto mazingena from the import side, machinery. Kufanele kutrakiwe ukuthi iyapi.
Yes.
Ku-facility eyiphi.
Yes.
Iyo producer ini.
Yebo.
Then we lock that global location number to say nangu umuntu uya producer ula. So ama products wakhe ayophuma kule facility i-DC le ayisa kuyo yeyiphi. So that it links up with the CIPC registration. Every business in South Africa needs to be identifiable and be identifiable only once. When you click that barcode, it needs to show you the true owner of the production.
Okay, so as consumers sense Mrs. Matlou, because obviously that is the behind the scenes type of running the show.
That's the behind the scene that needs to be done. For now, as consumers, as we've been saying the whole day, asiqhubekeni ngokusebenza nabantu that are helping us because angifuna ukulabela umuntu. It can happen to anyone. It has happened to big companies. It has happened to big retailers. It can happen to umama ophekayo estradeni. So what we need to do is to work with the people. Let's tell them, you are now tampering on the law. I'm bound to report you. We now have lines from the officials, from our side. Let's adopt the culture of reporting the wrongdoings because it's going to come back to us.
Okay, Matlou, I want to hear Millie's closing. Millie, very quickly. I mean, I understand 08000 14856. That's the number to dial if you want to report people. But how else do you assist people with such complaints, Millie? Can they phone your office directly?
Yes, I mean...
15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds. You know... don't buy products that's from a foreign country that you don't know. Because remember, in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, the product, the country of origin must be on the product.
Yes.
And the product, in terms of product labeling, if you buy products that's in a foreign language other than our official languages in South Africa, then stay away because you don't know what you're buying.
Yes, you don't know what the contraindications are and how it's going to end up. All right, Millie, we're going to leave it there. I'm definitely going to ask my bosses and my producers for a follow-up show. Thank you so much for your participation. But thank you so much. Mbugeli, do watch out for easy zethu. Next week, we're coming back with another live consumer affairs discussion. SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. From Umajali and the team of ladies and my team in studio and my team everywhere. Nisale kahle, please. Mbheke lokho kudla ukuthi ku safety. Bye bye.